That's what I was in that relationship. I was somebody's bitch. And I allowed that to happen because I did not love myself enough to be like, stand up for myself, say fuck you, and walk away.
It's me sacrificing my life and my time. Like, I don't care. I'll sacrifice the fun, the freedom. I'll sacrifice everything so that those around me can live better.
That's what we as men deserve. We deserve to have a woman that's not going to be out here in the streets, tricking, showing her ass off to everybody on Instagram, being on OnlyFans. Like, we deserve that. We deserve that, bro. My name's Andrew, and this is Planted Moves.
Planted Moves was designed for those looking to find purpose, to start clear vision, and discover transformation on the road to success.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Move. I am super excited because we have a special guest here today on our first podcast episode. That's Lance Kearse. Man, I'm super excited to have you on here. Spoke to you about this like a couple of times at the gym, just briefly. But the first time that I mentioned it, you were like, yeah, let's do it. And you were super on board. And so that's awesome because you were officially my first guest. So yeah, man, I'm excited to have you. And I think that you've got an incredible story. Professional athlete, you've made a name for yourself. You've defeated sickle cell trait. You've just like not been stopped, right? And I think that that's just an admirable quality. And that's something that I think that a lot of people would really like yearn something incredible from hearing. So I just kind of want to go into your story, man. And so I guess first going into it, can you tell me a little bit about the sickle cell trait and what that is? Because I'm not too familiar with it.
Well, thank you for the introduction. And that was a great introduction. Never been introduced like that.
No?
Yeah, that was great. Appreciate it. No, but sickle cell is it's a genetic adaptation to malaria. Well, I wouldn't say adaptation. Do you know how natural selection works?
From
A little bit, right? Like, from biology and school.
Biology,
right? Yeah.
middle school.
Well, so basically you have, a pool or a population of people, different groups of people with certain traits, right? Whenever a disease comes through, if you have certain traits that would be great for that disease, well, then you get to live and the other ones perish and you get to procreate. So sickle cell is an adaptation for malaria. So anyone with sickle cell trait, I'm like 60% immune to malaria. So I go to Africa somewhere where there's a lot of malaria, I get bitten, I'm good.
Wow.
Yeah, so, but when you move above, let's say the 23rd parallel, that's outside the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, well, then the body really doesn't like that much because it likes to be in humid, hot regions.
That's why you're in Miami.
That's why I'm in Miami, right? I'm not going to move back to Virginia. No time soon, not at all. I don't have anything against Virginians. I love my Virginians. How do you say Virginians?
Yeah.
I love them, but I would be in Miami for the rest of my life, or further south, like Jamaica, where my family's from and all that. So, but so sickle cell trait, you can face complications if you're too high altitude, if you're sick, if you're, elevated pressure. So if you're swimming deep in the ocean or something like that, thin air. There's a couple different things, and I know a few players who, been through some complications. One died.
Wow.
Or if you're overheated or overexerting yourself, so like rigorous activity.
But that's like everybody playing ball.
Basically, yeah, right. Any sport, right? So, it's one of those things where they thought that it was benign, that there's no real effect and you don't have any concern for it, but there's a real concern, and a lot of athletes pass out and die.
Wow.
Not to what you see now, because you see a bunch of athletes falling out and passing out and dying now. That's not linked to the sickle cell trait, trust me, but that's a little different. We may not talk about that on this podcast. I don't want you to get canceled. But
appreciate that.
No. We can't get canceled before we get started, right? But there's a ton of athletes who've had situations, and Devon Darling, his brother died of sickle cell trait. Complications, Eric Plancher, UCF back in 2007. 2007. I actually got an offer to play at UCF college football. if I would have played my senior of high school to UCF, and then that fall, then that spring he died. So
Wow.
yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but yeah, it's just one of those things where there just needs to be more awareness for it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what are some of the complications that result, as a part of this disease or trait rather? So, I mean, obviously you were still able to play, but, tell me some stories of like really what this did to you and how it impacted you while you were playing and what the big deal was about it.
Yeah. So with sickle cell trait, you become anemic. Your blood thinks that it has an outside force like a malaria coming in, so it basically kills off itself, the blood cells.
Wow.
And you're left with less blood, so you're a little weaker, you're lethargic, you're tired. So to the naked eye, if you don't know what it is, it looks like that person's lazy, that they're unenthused, right? It looks like it's more of a mental issue. So yeah, it was, it was thought that I was lazy, and that I was dealing with some mental issues and all that stuff. I was labeled of having PTSD. But if you ask any woman, right, that's going through that cycle, that time in a month, and you ask them, how do you feel when you're going through that cycle, when you're losing blood? They're not happy. It does a number to your brain, right? You're cramping up, you're losing blood, you're tight. Yeah, so I can empathize with women because that was my life every day. Wow. It wasn't just a time in the month, it was every day. Yeah, the cramps a little bit different because it's probably a cervical wall and whatnot, but for me it was, I got to one time it was from neck to toe. I couldn't move. Like my body was just locked. I thought I was gonna die. Like I couldn't move anything. Had to get rushed to the hospital. Elevated levels of muscle breakdown. They call it CK levels, creatine kinase. And they had to keep me overnight, monitor the levels. They came down pretty quickly. But yeah, it's one of those things where, when they saw me and they saw my moods go up and down, like before practice, after practice, and during practice, they're like, you know what? We think it's more of a mental issue. We don't think it's really physical. So we're going to prescribe you this severe anxiety depression medication. I took Effexor and then Telefrim because the Effexor was too strong. For the physical pain, they gave me Celebrex. So bunch of stuff, man. They had me drugged up, but it's cool, man. The psychiatrist, he helped me, talk me through some situations, but ultimately he couldn't do much.
So I'm like, part of me, like, you've sparked my curiosity because I'm wondering, how do you suffer from this trait or disease rather that's affecting your every single day life, not only from a physical standpoint, but a mental, which I would imagine combined is also impacting your emotional state, right? Like, how do you wake up and do what you have to do every day, not only just to like survive in life, but also to thrive in a professional sport? Like I'm just thinking like the testament of mental, like just strength that has to take is like kind of, I'm in awe of it, to be honest. So I'm just wondering, like, how do you get up every day? Like, what's going through your mind when you have to push yourself, you have to wake up? And then, like, you mentioned something to me where you were in the middle of like a game and you would go run your play and then you come back to the bench and you're like exhausted, fatigued, and people are like, this dude's out of shape. But in reality, they don't know that you're suffering from this disease. Like, how do you get past that every day?
Well, oh man, that's a big question. That's a great question though. Whenever you're going through it and you don't have much knowledge on it, it's almost like, you don't know what you don't know. So either you keep going or you just stop, right? Typically people who don't know what a pain is, because probably, there's not a lot of research on it, and at the time when I was going through it the worst, I wasn't diagnosed. So they didn't know until later, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's
so you think something's just wrong with you?
I knew something was wrong with me, but then the doctors told me there was something wrong with my brain. Like, no, there's nothing wrong with my brain. It was like, we think it's a figment of your imagination. I think that it's your brain tricking your body out.
Oh.
Yeah. That's verbatim. That's what they said. But waking up, for me, it was like I had all these gifts. Like I started training, like I told you earlier. I started training at 11 years old, like a professional, like athlete with a personal trainer.
Wow.
And by the time I hit 15, I could jump for the free throw line and dunk. So I was like, I'm faster and stronger than everyone.
How tall were you at 15?
15, 6'5", 6'4", 6'5".
You're 6'5"?
Yeah,
at 15 years old?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, 6'4", 6'5". I stopped growing at 15, 16.
Man.
Yeah. So I'm like 6'5".
You were like towering over everyone.
Yeah. You know, from 10, I was 5'3" at 10, 13, 6'3".
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I grew so fast that, and I was training on top of that, and I was doing a bunch of stuff. So yeah,
Every week you had parents that were coming up here.
yeah,
That's crazy, man.
yeah. But you know, when you have this talent, you know, you definitely want to guard it.
Yeah.
You don't want to let it go to waste. You don't want to squander your opportunity. So basically, I was like, you know, I don't care what I'm going through. Everyone else is suffering. Everyone else is going through some type of pain. What's my pain? Like, I don't care. Let me just keep pushing. To the point where, you know, it wasn't good to push, right? But I would get myself up every day. You know, I would have faith. But you know, in college, it got to a point where the coaches they would call me certain names. They would use I love the curse on this podcast.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, they would call me pussy and soft, and, you know, B word, all that. And you'll see that on my documentary that I have coming out soon too. And I was like, yo, I'm not soft. Like I grew up in the hood, like the hood. Like I'm not gonna lie, I may not look or sound like I grew up in the hood, but yo, the first time I saw someone get shot, I was 5 years old.
Wow.
In the head, die.
Oh.
Yeah, my cousin on the documentary, he'll attest to it too. Yeah, so I saw people get shot and stabbed, and had a gun to my head when I was 6 years old. I saw a bunch of shit. So it was like knowing that I didn't want to go back to that, but I grew up in the 90s though. The 90s, like right after the crack epidemic, like the height of it in South Florida, Fort Myers, close to Miami. So those times don't exist anymore, right? Those times are in the past, but me seeing so much, I was like, nah, I'm pushing. I don't care. Like, I'm not going back to that. Like, no way. Like, I want what's better in life. Yeah. I want to live out the country. I want to speak another language. I want to do a bunch of different things. I don't want to always be here. So I was like, no, I don't care what I'm going through. Whatever I'm going towards is that much better than what I just went through. So that's what got me out here.
So you almost had I definitely hear a lot in your story of you being like avoidant of wanting to go back to your embracing your past, right? But not wanting to go back there. So I think that was a motivator, right?
Absolutely.
But then like what was the vision that was really pulling you forward also? Because like a lot of people, they're motivated by that push from behind, from the past, right? Not wanting to go back there. But then even more so, a lot of people are motivated by some type of vision for the future. So like, what was that? Did you always see yourself being a professional athlete?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're training at a young age at 11, yeah. I mean, come on.
Well, you know, it was one of those things where, you know, I'm an at-risk kid. They want to take me off of the streets. I'm not the best athlete at the time. You know, when I first started, I was pretty clumsy and I was weak. Didn't grow up with a father. My dad's from Jamaica. He came to Miami to you know, get rich like everyone else was doing in the 80s. You know, selling that white stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, so I grew up, you know, soft, you know, weak, more feminine, expressing my emotions more in a feminine way.
Because of being raised by a single mother.
By a single mother. Like, she doesn't know better. She's at work, you know, I'm by myself, and I'm seeing how she responds to situations.
Yeah.
And thinking, oh, that's the way you respond. You know, there's nothing wrong with her or how women respond. It's just that we are held to a different standard.
Yeah, of course.
You know, we're bigger guys. We walk in the room with an attitude, prison time, right? Because we're more threatening, right? So, So just growing up in those environments and wanting to get my mom out of that situation, and, you know, wanting to see my family do better, possibly start businesses, and, you know, just seeing a bunch of effed up things in the neighborhood. I'm like, yeah, this can be easily fixed. Like, we can just put our heads down and just work. But some people just want to have fun. Me, I was like, I can sacrifice my fun until I get 40, 50. I don't care about fun. I can delay. Like, I don't care about instant gratification. I want delayed gratification. I want it to come 15, 20, 30 years later, where I can sit back and say, oh, I built that, I did this, I helped that person. These people are not in that same situation because that happened and put that person there. So to me, it's me sacrificing my life and my time. Like, I don't care. I'll sacrifice the fun, the freedom. I'll sacrifice everything so that those around me can live better. Because I feel like some of us are chosen to be those people. Like, some of us are just chosen to be that trailblazer in the family. Sometimes they call them the black sheep, but typically the black sheep ends up being the one, right?
Yeah, that's true. As you were telling your story, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, I didn't grow up with a hard upbringing like that. You know, I didn't grow up in the hood. I had a great father. You know, I had a good father figure. I think every every father tries their hardest and a lot of them have flaws, but I think having that like male role model in the home is just like so imperative for a lot of people, but it's not necessary, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that your story is just an indication of that, like someone that still made it, they made it out, they were successful, you've, done well for yourself and I'm sure your family. What are some things that you didn't have that you wish you had and things that you want to provide, for when you become that father?
Well, that's a great question, man. I feel like, just doubling back on the question before I answer it, just because you're born in these situations doesn't mean, or not born in these situations doesn't mean that you don't have anything slowing you down or any adversity that you
Sure.
overcome. Because we all have it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You can be born with the cheat sheet, so to say, but when that experience calls for you to actually put forth effort and put forth character, well, then it's going to reveal, because it don't matter who you had there holding your hand. They're not holding your hands anymore. The training wheels are off. Now you're having to balance yourself and stay stable in that bike, right? I grew up around a bunch of, not want to say a bunch, a few kids who was probably even more affluent than you were, like had money, but couldn't really handle the emotions because they didn't have parents there tending to their emotions. You see what I'm saying? So there's always another side of the coin. Like, I don't care who you are. So for me, I think I had it better by not having my dad there. I'm not going to lie. I won't say that he's like the worst person in the world. He's not a bad person at all.
Yeah.
It's just that he was so busy doing what he was doing. Like, he probably wouldn't have time for me anyway. So it was better off that,
You probably wouldn't have wanted to go down that same road either. I think, and the reason why I even asked this is such a random question, but, I've been speaking to a lot of men.
Yeah.
One of the things that this space, doubles as a group is basically a place where men can come and we meet once a month and we talk about things, because I think a lot of men don't have an outlet, right? And so I like to provide that because I think that there's something in that for men. And so one of the things that I've noticed from some of the guys that are in the group is they either come from a broken family, didn't have their father around, or maybe they did and they didn't like the, type of influence that he was bringing to the table. And so it's been like over and over again where that has been a big impact on certain choices that they made throughout their life. And they're like, I'm never going to be this type of man, or I'm going to be this type of man, because I didn't have this around or because I did, right? And so I think more so my question is like in a self-development piece, I guess it's a double part question. So the first one would be, what challenges do you think you went through as a result of not having that in your life? And then like, how do you think that set you up for success?
So the challenges that I think I had to face without having a father would, first one being understanding how to be stoic. Like, I didn't know how to feel the emotion and express them in a
healthy way.
Yeah. It was just, you got to feel my pain. It's like, you really don't need to feel your pain. Like, no one really cares at the end of the day, right?
Wow.
We only care if you're productive with it.
Wow.
Right. So for me, I didn't know how to channel my anger and do it the right way in a constructive manner. It was I wanted to set everything on fire, right? I had 2 anger management courses that I had to go to, growing up as a kid. I had a psychiatrist in college, the sickle cell stuff also. Not having a father and a provider there, like, I didn't know what that looked like, right? I didn't know, when I got with, my ex-wife, what taking that extra step and making my wife feel happy by doing that little thing or doing things within her love language, right? Like, I didn't know. Like, I just thought that, hey, if I work, make money, you're happy. No, it's not. That's not it, right? That's a core piece, right? That's
Provider piece.
That's the main, part of the menu, but those little things matter as well. Like, so I didn't know that. I don't have a child yet, but it made me not want to go down that path of having kids with different women. Never been in that situation, never wanted to be in that situation, because my dad had, believe it or not, he had 25 kids.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yes.
He had 25 kids?
Listen, man, I went back to Jamaica 2019. My grandmother passed, and the obituary, this man took up the whole page, just his kid. Yeah, I'm like, what?
Oh, there's no way.
Yeah, back in the days, it was wild.
Are you like connected to all of them?
Some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Dang.
so I'm one of 25.
That's wild.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
So I didn't want to be that guy, right? I wanted, not saying I didn't have my fun
Yeah.
and my fair share of, situations, but I never really wanted to put a woman in that situation where she had to take care of her kid alone and raise a kid, raise a boy. Having a woman raise a boy in this life, it's like, not saying that it can't be done, but yeah, that's a
Well, clearly can be done.
Yeah.
It clearly can be done. But yeah, I think that having that, positive male role model in the picture is imperative, I think, in today's day and age, especially for healthy men, because not everybody went down the same path as you, right? Seeking help in order to, I went to anger management myself too when I was a kid several times for several years, and I had a father in the home, so I think like there's some people that realize, hey, I have to become better. I was given these cards. This is what I've got to play with, and I've got to play them the best way that I can. This is the best hand I've got, right? And we all go through these roads where it's like negative things happen and we make wrong choices and we go down wrong paths. But then, it takes like a real man to come back onto the path and be like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is who I am. And so, yeah, man, I think that like being who you are, having gone through what you've been through, is super inspiring. And there's a lot of people, like I mentioned to you in the gym this morning, I'm like, there's a lot of people that are going through hard shit and they think that they're alone, and they're not alone. Like, we've all been through some really difficult shit. And there's like times where we've like, I personally, I've been in relationships before where I was just like, I literally don't want to live.
Yeah.
And so to go from that mindset to pull yourself out, I know you've been down like some crazy things too in your personal journey. And like, I think if you could pull yourself out of that as a man, which is what our role is, like, that's a good leader, And so, yeah, man, is there any of that you want to touch on?
Oh no, definitely. My favorite artist, musical artist is Bob Marley.
Yeah.
And one of his lines says, "Every man thinks that his burden is the heaviest." Because when you're going through it, you think that it's only you, right? Especially nowadays on social media, everyone's smiling and has
all curated. It's a curated.
They're going on travel trips and they're going through it too. They're just not showing you that. They're showing you the highlights.
Of course.
Right? That, like in basketball, you want to see the whole game. When you're scouting a player, you want to see the whole game. You don't want to see just the highlight, the dunks, the passes, the alley-oops. You want to see when there was a turnover, how did that guy move back and walk back down, or did he hustle his ass back down? Did he play defense? Was he clapping? Was he picking up his players? You want to see those small things, and that's life. That's a microcosm of life. How do they handle the adversity when things are bad? I don't care who you are. I don't care how you were raised. Nobody has it perfect. I don't care. Like you said, if whatever cards I'm dealt, I'm gonna play them. I may bluff the fuck out of this, but I'm good.
I was just thinking that, bro. I'd be bluffing.
I'm gonna bluff the hell out of it. But I'm gonna play these cards. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Because at the end, it's like, no one's gonna come save you. No one's gonna come help you.
Nobody.
You're not gonna find.
Everybody's dealing with their own shit.
Got to. You're not gonna find your match. If you guys date women, you're not gonna find your match in a woman if you're not gonna be the best you.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're not the best you, she's not gonna really want the worst.
It is, man.
Right? Would you want the worst?
Oh, absolutely not.
Right? So why would we expect for anyone else to want the worst? So, no, that adversity piece is, everyone's going through it and still going through it. It's mountains beyond mountains. That's a book. Yeah, that's a book. Mountains beyond mountains. No matter how far you go, how high you go, there's another mountain that you have to climb and go harder and go higher. Right? And
every season has a storm, man. Every season. And I don't care, like you said, it never ends. It never ends. When we're 70, we're still going to have issues. They might be different. They might not be financial. They might be emotional. You might have a loss. Like, we don't know what they're going to be, but it's almost like that's what makes life so enjoyable, is the unknown. And I think, what you've done a great job of depicting, and what I can truly appreciate, is like diving into the unknown and the discomfort. Because I feel like, I went through a mentorship program, and I was taught that comfort is the enemy of the king. Because anytime that you feel comfortable, like something's not happening. You're either still, you're going to get depressed, you're going to feel like stuck. Some people are working in the same job for 30 years and this is just their normal, they're comfortable, but there's no progression, there's no growth, there's only death in that. And so I mean, every single stage of your story, every single stage of what you've been through and what you're still going through in this moment in time is just growth, and it lives in the discomfort.
I have something for that. I don't know if you guys follow or listen to a podcaster. His name is Rollo Tomasi, the Rational Male. Have you ever heard the Rational Male?
I don't know.
So he's the Rational Male, and he talks about how happiness is a transitory state. Like as you're going through the life, as you're going that path, that's when happiness. It's not in a destination.
Yeah.
It's not when you, hey, once I close that deal, I'm gonna be happy. No, you should be happy while closing that deal, right? Or while you're on that road, on that path. And a lot of people who probably don't, I think they call it destination addiction. Is when you hit that destination, then you're happy, but you're really not happy, and that's fake. So typically you'll get to that, to a certain point. Let's say you get 30, you have the kid, you have the wife, you have the big house. It's like, well,
now we need a bigger house.
yeah, now I'm sad because I made that my happiness of getting it.
Yeah.
What about that work that it took? That was the happy part. You're requiring different skill sets while you're getting to what you want. Shouldn't you be happy? Oh, I just learned that. Let me learn something else. Oh my God, I can communicate better. I can talk to this. I can close that deal. Look how that works. Look how that piece fits here. And I feel like, every day should be a happy state. Not by the summer when we go on this trip to Cabo, we're gonna be happy then. Oh, we're happy getting to that point.
It's awesome, man. It's the journey, man. And dude, the journey is filled with so many roadblocks. So
I have a few questions for you though.
Yeah.
So talk about yourself though. I know this is your show. I don't know if you talked to them previously, but where are you from, man? How was your life? Because you're a great guy too. You're giving me all these praises.
Yeah.
I got to give you praise back.
Appreciate that, man.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm from Northern Virginia, and not like outside DC, Northern Virginia. I'm from Northern Virginia, over the mountain. So, and I know you're from you went to VCU. So, I'm from the most northern tip of Virginia, which is a very, very country area. I was 10 minutes away from West Virginia, which, as you know, is notoriously racist.
I've heard
in some parts.
Randy Moss, so that from West Virginia.
Some parts. And so, man, I grew up in like a really small, at the time, it was very, very small. Couple of stoplights in the town. I was bullied, picked on, made fun of. Like, it was hell going to school. And so, yeah, man, I faced a lot of adversity. I was like a band geek. I was always getting bullied by the athletes, actually. And so it was cool because I ended up kind of like eventually, now I almost feel like I am athletic in a sense, but it's crazy how things progress. And so, man, I basically felt like nobody, like nothing, like most of my life. And then I ended up going to college. And so I met a really good friend of mine, still a friend of my day, to this day. We went to, he was like, oh, I live in the Bronx. I live in New York. And I was like, dude, I love New York. I've always wanted to go there. Yeah. And so he was like, yeah, I live in the Bronx. Like, you can come home with me for the summer. And I was like, dude, I got to go. Up to this point, I basically almost failed my way through life. Every class I had was an F. I was always doing the bare minimum. Every job I had, I was basically like teetering away from getting fired, doing whatever I had to do just to keep the job. You know what I'm saying? But like, I was always on the bottom of the totem pole. And so I go to New York. Mind you, I'm on academic probation at the time at my college. And it's actually a miracle that I even got into college. That was thanks to my mother. And so, yeah, man, I go to New York, bro, it was like,
it clicked.
My eyes were opened and I was like, wow, like this is the world, bro. This is the city, the grit, the energy. I was just like, I'm in love with this place, man. And so I went back to Virginia. I was actually super sad. I was super emotional the whole train ride back home. And I was like, I do not want to go back to this shithole town. Like, I really don't want to be here. And I went back, and the whole time I was there, I just couldn't stop thinking about New York. I got to get back there. I got to get back there. Every single semester after that, I'm on the dean's list. I'm president of my fraternity. I was a co-founder of our fraternity, actually. And so I was just like on a mission, like I had to get to New York. And so I got my Series 7, my 66. I became a financial advisor. I'm like, I'm going to be a stockbroker. I'm going to be on Wall Street. And so I get a job a couple jobs at Edward Johns and Merrill Lynch, and I hated it, bro. Hated it. I was just like, this is not for me, man. I hate this. This is bullshit. This is not what I signed up for. This isn't the Wolf of Wall Street. And so, yeah, man, my boy he moved into the mortgage industry. He came down here to Miami. He was crushing it. And then I came down, bro, and it's been a hell of a journey down here. Like, I've been homeless. I've lived in a penthouse at the Icon. I've slept in my storage unit. I've slept in my car until they repossessed it. I went back into this most beautiful apartment in 900 Biscayne. I lived in a beautiful house in Coconut Grove. I was basically homeless again, sleeping on my friend's couch. Like, I went through this crazy, crazy emotional financial journey that's like basically humbled me and given me like so much perspective on like you could have something and it's gone tomorrow. So I think like the vision is huge. That fear of not wanting to go back is huge. I try to use all of that every day to my like advantage somehow. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm just here for the journey, bro. And like, I feel like there's a calling on my life and I ignored it for way too long in the pursuit of money, in the pursuit of Instagram followers, and the pursuit of likes and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, none of that shit matters, because when you're in a hard time, when you're sleeping on someone's couch, it's between you and the person on that couch. Nobody else gives a fuck. And it's like, you got to do what you got to do, man. And if you're pursuing something that's like a calling on your heart, it's crazy how things just come together, bro. Like, we were talking about how I got a deal on the camera and I got a deal on the place and I got all these different things working in my favor. And that's because I decided I don't give a fuck about the likes anymore. Like, I just want to pursue my purpose, whatever that ends up being. And then I feel like God's kind of aligned everything in the meantime.
No, definitely. That's powerful. By hearing you mention these things in your life, it brought up some memories about my life. Because we have to understand that everyone's going through the ups and downs. And, I feel like I haven't mentioned all of my ups and downs yet. So now you mentioned
Go for it, man.
living homeless in the couch in the penthouse, and, the whole roller coaster is what we love, right? We love roller coasters. Yeah. I went through my sickle cell situation. When I would barely practice, but I would still get in the game and get buckets. I would score like 17 points in 19 minutes, D1. I'd go down to D2. Could barely play. I would get an IV before every game, an oxygen tank during the game.
No.
Yeah. I would play 4 minutes, pull me out, play 4 minutes, pull me out. I started, fixing my body through like amino acids, citrulline, arginine for nitric oxide, endothelial function for the blood flow.
Yeah.
Beta alanine, L-carnitine for NO2 max. VO2 max. Buffering the lactic acid, and I fixed my situation. I could play more minutes. I could practice more. Then I go to Spain. I'm doing pretty good. Average like 14 points. A couple rebounds a game, about 8 rebounds. 2 months later, I'm on the field with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm like, man, I just was playing professional sports, because back in college, before I transferred to the second school, the doctor's like, Lance, if I were you, I would never play sports again. With it, your body.
I told you?
Yeah, he was like, if I were you, like, I would never play sports, because this you could place yourself in grave danger. I'm like, yeah, I was built for this. I don't care what you say. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I go to Spain, doing pretty good, but we're practicing twice a day now. I'm not used to that. I'm used to barely practicing once a day.
Wow.
So I'm like, I can't do this. Go out for the Jacksonville Jaguars, catching one-handed passes. Yeah, crazy. Right, because
you just transitioned
in 2 months. 2 months.
From one sport to the other.
2 months. That's all they gave me, 2 months.
That's crazy.
And come end of the mini camp, I'm like, oh, I'm about to sign. I got the crowd hyped. I'm signing autographs. I'm like, oh, let's go. That check's in the bank right now. Coach is like, Lance, we like you, but yeah, you haven't been playing long enough. You don't really know the plays. You don't know certain things. You're very athletic. You can catch. But, you can come back next year, when you're more developed, also known as, hey, play arena football or something else. They only pay like $30K, $40K. I'm not trying to get hurt for that. So I quit that. I'm like, okay, let me really figure this sickle cell stuff out to the point where it doesn't bother me at all, where I can practice twice a day. So I took 5 years off. And in between that time, right after I left the Jags, a month later, I was working at Enterprise Rental Car.
No.
I went from possibly signing $1 million checks to making $13.30 a week, an hour. Yeah.
Were you in the management training program?
Yeah,
I was too.
Oh, you were too?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. The Enterprise
Yo,
put my sales skills on the map.
trying to sell that CDW.
Slinging damage waiver, slinging it every day, full bulks.
That was wild, bro.
So listen, man, listen. I experience highs and lows like everybody else, man. Now, I have a company, Captain Planet, Easy Herbals, our subsidiary. We're pulling in 5 figures every month now. So we're doing a good job, but like we've all been through it, man. I was sleeping on someone's couch when I was working at Enterprise. Like, yeah, really though, it was tough. Just having like in your brain knowing I was at this peak in my life. Now I'm in the hole. Like I didn't do anything bad to anyone. Like I didn't mismanage money. It's just that I didn't get that opportunity, and I put all my chips on that one opportunity, and it didn't stack up right. So it's not like, you end up in these situations because you're a bad person. It's just that that's just not how life was cut out. That wasn't in your cards, right? But no, that brought up a story, in my mind, my life story. So I had to feel like I had to talk about that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, but just to double back as well, I did have my uncle in my life growing up, but he had like 12 kids. So he would give me some time,
Wow.
but he had other kids as well, right?
Wow.
So I had to share time with him and figure some stuff out. Also, my mom had a friend who was Jamaican as well, so I stayed close to my Jamaican roots through him. And his mom would give me certain supplements and herbs and stuff. Back when I was a kid, I was like 9 or 8 or something like that. But he would, he had his own life, had kids and his girlfriends and stuff too. But the same herbs his mom used to give me, I now sell now in my products. Yeah, full circle.
Bro, that's amazing.
Full circle. Herbal supplements.
And so you're full vegan,
Full vegan.
right? Full vegan. And that's crazy to me because, bro, when I see you at the gym, I'm like, bro, this guy's huge. Like, this guy is big. And I know you were, like, I've been bigger before, right? Yeah. But I'm like, dude, how is this dude big like this? And it's crazy because I went to the Yellow Grain Farmers Market in Hollywood. It was probably like a year and a half ago. And I was talking to this dude, and I was, like, really big at the time. And I was like, he was like, oh, you need to go vegan because, like, I could tell by your skin and this and that, like, you're not healthy. And I was like, what? Man, look at me. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not healthy. And he was like, I could tell. And he was like, you should really talk to my boy Lance. Like, this dude is huge. And he eats like a watermelon a day. And then I was like, really? Who is this guy? And then it just so happened that I was like, oh, I see this dude. He goes to my gym. And yeah, man, that's such a small world. But like, how has that journey been for you? And like, obviously it's working. Yeah. And then what was that impact on like the sickle cell? Is that really what kind of made you turn the corner?
Yeah.
Or was that part of the journey? Like, what happened?
That was part of the journey. It helped me turn the corner.
So like other things weren't working, and then you switched to being vegan. Is that what happened?
Yeah. So in the beginning, it was more supplements. Like, I started understanding amino acids, biology, and whatnot. Myoglobin, hemoglobin, endothelial function, nitric oxide, and all that stuff. So I didn't have the knowledge of nature then. And it worked. The synthetics work to a degree, right? Yeah. It's always a plus, then there's a minus. It's like, what are the minuses, right? I was probably a +1. I want to be like +10.
Wow.
Right? That's how health is. Health is, rated by plus minus. It's not an absolute, right? But the thing is that who you were speaking with was Reggie, by the way. Yeah. Reggie from Veganhood. That's my guy, man. Shout out Reggie. That's my guy. It helped me a lot because for some reason my body does better on plants, right? I don't know. Do you know who Charles Poliquin is?
I don't.
So Charles Poliquin is a guy who he trained a bunch of Olympians, and even he would say, my athletes who have genetics that are closer from the equator do better off carbs, right?
Interesting.
And I'm like, whoa, who is this guy? Like, that's my life story. Like, I talk about that because I had to understand how genetics work. And I'm like, well, the reason why people have a wide nostril because their ancestors are from regions has a lot of humidity. If it's short, it's from it's like heat and humidity. If the hair stands up, grows away from the neck, that their ancestors are from the tropics, right? Because the neck has to be exposed so it can cool off the blood going up and down the neck, right? And the skin is darker because it has to filter out some of that light because of the light. So when your nose is narrow, you have to heat up the blood before it enters the body, right? if the hair drops to cover the neck, it has to insulate the neck, keep it warm in the cold. And the skin is light, so you can pull in as much light as possible to create vitamin D. So I'm like, if that is true, aren't plants more plentiful near the equator? So my body should kind of do better. So when you said I eat a watermelon a day, so watermelon has citrulline. Citrulline is a precursor to arginine, which is a precursor to nitric oxide that creates blood flow. So if you ever like take a pre-workout, look at the back of it, it'll say nitric oxide, citrulline or arginine or some shit. Like I used to take like citrulline malate, right? And so basically everything I was doing synthetically was already in the fruit, or like the greens, like the nitrates in arugula watercress. Nitrates deplete NO3 nitrates depletes the NO2 nitrites, and it's in the skin, epidermis and dermis, and UVA lights, because the sun is made up of three rays: UVA, UVB, UVC. The UVA releases it and creates it converts it to nitric oxide. So I'm like, all I need is plants. So that's why Popeye the Sailor Man was drinking all the greens, eating the greens before he went to fight or something. And that vegan piece really worked for me. Like, I'm not saying it may work for everybody.
Yeah.
But for me, it feels like I'm 12 again.
Where?
I feel like a child. I feel like a kid.
Wow.
Like before, I was in so much pain. I look about 10 years older.
Wow.
If you look at a picture of me at 23 compared to me now at 33, how you look so much younger?
Wow.
I sunbathe. That's probably 2/3 of my diet, sunbathing, because the skin is a mouth. Although we're under synthetic light right now, we have to now, during the middle of the day, sunbathe when the sun's at its peak. It's called the lunar noon. It may be at 12 or it may be at 1, depending on the time of the year. But sunbathing is probably 2/3 of my diet. Then I would say vegan after that helped me, right? Yeah.
When you say a part of your diet.
Yeah. Sunbathing, man, light hitting your skin. There's vitamin D receptors, there's light receptors all over your body.
Wow.
So if you can't sleep at night, wake up in the morning, look at the sun for the first 15 minutes. You're going to go to sleep at night because that's creating serotonin. Serotonin is a precursor for melatonin.
Wow.
You're blacking out the room, turn off the TVs and don't watch your phone, or probably put the night mode to block it out, or wear some blue light blockers. Good, you'll go straight to sleep. A lot of people do suffer from, having insomnia, bunch of weight issues, mental issues. I know a lot of people who live above the 35th parallel, which Virginia's above the 35th parallel. It's very close to that Macy-Dixon line.
Yeah.
They suffer from SAD, seasonal affective disorder. Yeah, because not enough light. Yeah. Typically,
I've always wondered, like, people is there a higher depression rate in like Washington State, for instance? Like Seattle's like always gloomy,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And back in the days, they had a bunch of rickets issues. So like, people with bow legs, the legs are bow. That's because without the sun, you can't create enough calcium.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Calcium, phosphorus. So you become bow-legged, especially, when you're newborns or whatnot. So yeah, man, it's a big issue. And that was part of my issue. I was vitamin D deficient. I was sunlight deficient.
So my doctor told me I'm vitamin D deficient. And they tried to give me like injectable vitamin D. I was messing with that for a while. But you know what's crazy? Was it yesterday? It was yesterday and the day before. I did the sunbathing because you told me about that. Both nights I was like out. Yeah,
quick,
out.
Fast.
Out.
Testosterone levels shoot through the roof.
Yeah?
What? Vitamin D, the sun, and sleep, sun, and diet, and exercise. So let's say if you're doing like HIIT, high intensity, jump training, plyometrics.
Yeah, I saw you doing those this morning.
You'd be rocked up year round. I swear. Look at an NFL guy.
Dang,
look at a sprinter. They're just rocked up because they're doing the sprints. They're outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That stuff's powerful.
That's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm. So I would say sunbathing, 2/3 of my diet, the other 1/3, the vegan diet is what helped me. The sunbathing, you guys gotta, look into that. It's called heliotherapy. One second. You gotta look into that. That's called heliotherapy. So, it depends on, skin complexion. If you're, have pheomelanin or eumelanin, that's the pheomelanin is the yellow pinkish skin tone. The eumelanin is like if your skin can turn brown.
Yeah.
Right. That's eumelanin. So you would have to know where you're at, where you live at, the altitude to sunbathe. You know, I'll start talking about that more on my page, but that stuff's very specific to the specific person. Because me and you may need to be out there right now for 45 minutes. I may have to be out there for an hour and a half. Yeah. You know, same sun, same latitude, same altitude, but my skin's darker.
Yeah.
Right. But,
wow, that's amazing, man. Thanks. You got all the hacks.
Listen.
Well, this is all from experience. I mean, you had to put in the work. It was personal for you.
12 years.
Wow.
It took me 12 years to figure out how to vertically concentrate. 12 years. I wish I knew now what I knew at 18. I'll be dunking on everybody right now on TV. Swear to God, yeah.
So what's really like the next step for you as far as like, because I'm just thinking, like just hearing your story and that statement that you just said, if I had known this at 18, I'd be dunking on everybody. Like, bro, there's so much power to create impact in that, like to change people's lives. And man, I'm interested to see where that vision is.
Yeah, next step, see, the thing is, you got to change people's subconscious mind first before you have any impact, right? You have to.
They have to believe it? They
have to believe it, and they have to see it. They have to, like, the fact that you went to New York and saw an environment, you're like, oh, what? I like this. This looks good. I feel it. Well, how do I do it? How do I get there? I'm willing to do whatever. Whenever you see someone go through something, and you're like, well, what type of work they put in? 10,000 hours. They call that the level of mastery. Oh, that's all I got to do. I got to put in 12,000 hours, 10,000 hours. I'll do it. What do I have to do? Show me the books, right? It's that until you see that end of the end of the tunnel, that light, then that's when you're like, you know what? I'll put the work in. I'll do it. I'll figure it out. I'll get it done because that's what I want. And I want to be that beacon, and I want to be that example to hopefully get people to want that, because we have so many temptations when it comes to food and dietary situations, right? You know, we have McDonald's and, you know, they beat us. Gatorade, all this stuff, Powerade, they've beaten us. Like, if you want to be healthy, imagine me coming in, hey, don't take that pill. What are you talking about? That's what I've been known to do. My mom does it. My grandmother does it. Everybody around me does it. My teacher does it. Even my doctor takes pills. And I'm not
so ingrained through the marketing and branding of the companies.
That's it. Like, how do I fight that? Well, I want to be the testimony. I want to be the living truth of what I do. And the thing is that I am, right? So when you see my documentary, these are real people talking. Like, I didn't pay any of these people.
Yeah.
They knew my life story. They saw me living it. You know, NBA players, coaches who've gotten players to the NBA, they saw it, right? I didn't make up one thing. If anything, I didn't tell enough. They know more than I do because they saw me going through it, and it's kind of blacked out in my memory.
Yeah, of course.
I try to forget that stuff because I feel like sometimes remembering things that happened to you bad will hold you back sometimes. Yeah. So I say, forget it.
Sometimes we don't even like consciously know that we've forgotten it. It's like our subconscious is trying to protect us from an incident or event.
Or our subconscious is trying to push us towards greatness.
Yeah. You could go back to your 18-year-old self. You said, like, if I knew all this stuff at 18, like, I would be dunking on people. I would be winning. You know, like, if you go back to the 18-year-old boy, what would you tell him?
Fail early, often, learn, absorb, read everything, talk to everyone. Just get as much knowledge as possible, right? Because, you know, the more interactions you have, you know, as a man, you know, the more interactions you have, the more you learn about life, because you can only learn through understanding people, how to talk, and understanding mannerisms and characteristics. And that's the only way we can learn, like those soft skills, those intangibles, right? Because, you know, people treat you based on, you know, how you present yourself and how you act and how you speak and what you do. And the way you learn that is through those interactions. So I would say just interact with the world. Don't sit in your room and play video games all day, guys. Like, it's cool. You know, it's good for the brain. It's a good brain exercise. But get out, speak, interact, sell, you know, gain experience. It's just experience. Like, when you go to a job and you hand them your resume, they say, okay, well, he went to this school. He has this many accolades, but how many years of experience do you have? Oh, none? All right, cool. We'll send you, we'll be reaching out to you soon. The next person, how much years of experience do you have? 10, 20 years of experience? You know some stuff. You know the nuances of life because you have experience with it. Experience, travel, get outside of your comfort zone, right? If you have an opportunity to go to another country, go to another country because that'll expand your vision cone, your experience cone, right?
Absolutely.
Because you think it's one way, but you go to another country, you're like, that works. It's not the same way I do it, but that's kind of cool, right? And like now, like I live in Miami, I can speak Spanish to anybody walking down the street, and they're looking at me like, "How do you speak Spanish?" Well, I lived in Spain for 2 years, so I picked it up because of the experience. Because I went to Spain the first time. I'm from Florida, but I didn't really know Spanish like that. Went to Spain the first time, tried to order some food, failed miserably. Went home mad, hungry.
No.
Came back the next day, ordered the whole menu in Spanish.
Next day.
Mad, angry. That's an experience.
Wow.
I failed. I was hungry. I got better. That's that deprivation for super compensation.
Yeah.
Right? You deprive yourself to compensate later. So fail early, often. Look stupid, look bad, look terrible. Be embarrassed.
Make the mistakes.
Fail
forward.
What? You want to look pretty? You want to not? Has a baby ever say, you know what? I'm going to not try to stand and walk. I'm just going to crawl the rest of my life because I don't want to, face the embarrassment of walking and falling on my face. No, you get up. And you keep going. Yeah. That's one thing, that kind of paralyzed me as a kid. Like I was like, I don't want to fail. I don't want people laughing at me. They're going to call me a geek and a nerd, and I don't care. Listen, be cool. Like cool is learning. Cool is failing. That is cool. Looking good all the time, that is not cool, man. You're putting on the front.
Yeah.
You're lying to the people. Yeah. No one should follow you. Oh no, we're failing over here. We're failing forward over here, and we're doing it the right way. This is an accumulation of failures that you're looking at.
Big time. I mean, we just had all 3 cameras fail on the first episode, but this is a learning experience.
Did we cry about it?
No, I'm gonna figure out what the hell happened, and it's never gonna happen again, right?
When milk spills, do you cry or do you wipe it up? Because someone taught you, hey, it's not a big deal. Just wipe it up. Yeah. Pour you some more. That's it. That's life.
It's true, man.
Yeah.
Damn, well, failing forward, bro. There's something to be said for that. Always fail. I think I would tell myself the same. You know what? One of the things I would tell myself for sure, now that you mention it, the fear of being picked on, the fear of being bullied. I think because I went through that as a kid, like I always had that. And I ended up like getting perfectionism as like a disorder almost. Like I'm not going to do it unless I can do it perfectly. Mm-hmm. So then I lost out on a lot of opportunities because I could have done it and I didn't, or I didn't release it, or I didn't post it, or I didn't do this. And like by you not doing that, how many people are you depriving?
Yes.
How many people could be impacted by your voice? How many people could be impacted by one move, one mistake, something that you did and put out there? And you just deprived someone else's experience. So some people like me tend to have to learn through experience and failure because we're not great at looking at other people's mistakes and be like, no, I'm not going to do that. But there's a lot of people out there that actually are good at that, at being like, yo, this person made that mistake. I'm not going to do that. Mm-hmm. And so you've now deprived someone of the opportunity to learn from the mistake that you've made because you were afraid of what other people would think or the judgment. And so, I mean, that's something that I've dealt with my whole life.
One thing, that you brought that up, one thing that, brings back to my memory, one of the things I like to talk about is, one of the things I like to say is, God punishes you for not being you. You hiding who you are to the world is punishing you. He's like giving you your blessings that they're there for you, but you hid them. You hid from it.
Wow.
I just gave you everything. I gave you all these skills and you didn't want to use it. You knew you were naturally good at that. Why didn't you, why didn't you craft that? Why didn't you polish that skill? I gave you that for a reason. And you're just going to, squander it?
Wow.
What? Yeah, I wish I should have gave it to that person.
Dude, you're literally preaching right now. There's a book, there's a story in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like the parable of the talents. And it's like the master, who's God, he gives these talents to his servants. And then he goes away for a long trip. And one of the servants, he like triples it while he's gone. He's flipping the bag, he's making it back, and he triples the like investment that he was given, the talent, right? The other servant, you know, he doubles it. He doesn't triple it, but he doubles it. And then the third guy, he goes and he buries it. And so when the master comes back, he's like, tell me what you did with my talents that I gave you, right? And so the first one comes up and he's like, dude, I tripled it. I tripled it for you. You gave me this, I got you this. And so he's like, well done. Great, that's a great servant. And then the guy that doubled it, he's like, look, I doubled it for you. The third guy was like, you know, I was afraid. I know that you're like a very like, you're a strong master. You're someone that, you know, judges people, and I didn't want to lose what you gave me, so I just hid it over here. But here, I'm giving it back to you. I still have what you gave me.
No.
And he was just like, you're wicked, you're wretched, get out of my sight.
Yeah.
Take what he had and give it to the guy that tripled it. So he took what the guy had and he gave it to the guy that tripled it. And like, that's just a story of like, when we're given something by God, like, bro, it is like a sin not to use it. It's a sin not to produce something with it.
It is blasphemous.
Yeah.
Like you're just, I don't know if you believe in God or the universe or spirit, whatever, but you're disobeying whatever created you and gave you those natural knacks for a reason. You don't get natural knacks just for no reason. Like you're typically, you gravitate towards certain things and certain skill sets because they're your predisposition to have those, right? And yeah, man, a lot of people do squander it because of, like you say, you know, you didn't want to be picked on, or me, I didn't want to look bad. Like I didn't want to, you know, I was too shy. I didn't want to speak, and people were gonna laugh at me. Who cares? Okay. If you do something or if you don't do it, they're gonna say something regardless.
Yeah.
People are gonna say something bad about you. If you do it, I did that. If you don't do it, well, all right, cool.
Stop caring.
I'm gonna face scrutiny regardless, but I would much rather face scrutiny putting people around me in a better position. I can take that. I can't face scrutiny of 50 years old, 60 years old. Damn, I should have did this. Damn, I should have invested that money. That little 200, I should have put that there. I could have quadrupled. That little, I don't know, little effort I should have put in. I put in 10%. I should have put in 60%. So you're just waking up, putting in half effort. Why not put in 100% effort and go to sleep at night knowing, hey, I'm exhausted. I'm done.
Put it all in.
I put it all in. Well, maybe then you can sleep 8 hours a night after that. That's probably why you're not sleeping 8 hours. Because you still got so much in the tank. It's like, bro, I still want to go. That's why you can only sleep 3 hours. Not necessarily you, but certain people. That's true. Yeah, that's why you can only sleep 2 hours.
You're living up to your full potential.
Yeah. Your body's like, bro, I gave you that much energy. Your health meter, you know, you play like Street Fighter and stuff, you got a health meter. Your health meter's still full, bro. That's why you can't sleep 8 hours.
You don't need to sleep.
You don't need to
You need to be working. You need to be getting after the bag. Man, that's crazy. And you know what that really brings me into is like, bro, I couldn't sleep for like a year because I wasn't pursuing my dreams. I wasn't pursuing my purpose. I was working I was making good money. I was making great money. But like, you can make $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year. And if you're not pursuing purpose, if you're not giving it your all, if you're not all out on that field like you were, like, bro, you had every reason to quit. You had every reason to give up. You're getting blood transfusions on the field. You're getting an oxygen mask in your face. You know, you're about to go run plays. You have every reason to give up, but you still gave it your all. And I, like, bro, that's just a testimony to, like, what we're meant to do. We are meant to give it our all, never give up, put it all out on the field. And, like, as men, it is our duty to live life in that mindset. For ourselves, for our spouse, for our children, for our parents. Like, we got to put it all out on the field, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone that doesn't do that, oh man, I hope God has, you know, some forgiveness for you, man, because yeah, you're just wasting air, energy, breaths, you know, every single thing is just a waste. And I don't want to sound harsh to people, but how would you feel if you invested your money into something and it was supposed to have a certain return, ROI, and you're like, well, why didn't it do what it was supposed to do? That's like what you're doing. Where's your ROI? Bro? Like, I put you here, like, give me a return on my investment. I should have let that other egg in that sack be born instead of you. Like, that other sperm get to that egg, and, right? So
that's a harsh reality that a lot of people need.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that'll be like upset with that. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
That's cognitive dissonance, though.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, they won't understand it, but then they'll be like, you know what? I am supposed to do my best every single day. Because if I'm not doing it my best every single day, it's like, what's the other purpose of living? Like, what do you want to do? You just want to sit there and do nothing? Like, that's fun for you?
Look,
I
been
can't
there.
fathom it.
I've been there. I've done that.
Yeah.
And like in that doing nothing, bro, it is so depressing.
Yeah.
Especially if you are a man or a woman that is destined for something.
Yeah.
Like when you're not living in it, bro, the depression and anxiety that comes from not living out your purpose or not pursuing your vision is horrifying. I have been depressed. I've been suicidal in the wrong relationship. I've been in the lowest of lows. And in that moment, it was only the pursuit of what I felt like I needed to do at the moment that pulled me out of that emotional situation. Like, I feel like, you know, and I'm not knocking depression because I think a lot of people are, you know, dealing with clinical depression, but I do think that there is some type of correlation between depression and not pursuing your purpose. And there's so many people in today's society that do not know what their purpose is. They don't know why they're here. They're completely lost with the bullshit that's happening in society, and they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on, and it's sad. And I think helping people wake up from that is something that we're meant to do.
Yeah. So like you say, like I said earlier, like Rollo Tomasi says, happiness is a transitory state, and it's typically when you're chasing greatness. Your greatness, I don't know what your greatness is, but I know you got it. You know, everybody that you come across, I don't care who they are, homeless guy, they got some type of greatness in there. There's some greatness there. But yeah, you know, you said it beautifully. You know, whenever you're not chasing the goal. So typically a lot of people, well, so let's talk about the stats. I mean, and me personally, this is just me giving an opinion, right? Not saying that it's factual. You know, I shouldn't be condemned for an opinion, but men are 4 times more likely to go through with suicide, right? Why are men in such suicidal state today, much more than women, right? Not saying that we're trying to compare them, but why are men in that situation? Could it be because of what you just said, not chasing greatness? I think it has a large part of that, or not teaching men that, listen, your happiness will rely on your greatness. Not, hey, just be a good guy and that in the world should just give you everything. No, you're gonna be a good guy, plus you gotta put work in.
Yeah.
You gotta produce. Like anything that you see, this watch by Garmin, it has a GPS on it. It tells me how long I sleep, my REM, this was produced by somebody. Somebody put in great work for this. This shirt was produced by somebody. Necklace, this Rode mic, this was all produced by somebody. People put a lot of work in on every single thing that we have around us. Every single thing you see in this frame was produced by somebody. What are you producing? What are you producing? The haircuts we get, somebody's doing some type of work. And you're sitting over there doing a monotonous job that you absolutely hate. Listen, man, there's a, you know, would you much rather live in a state of not figuring out how good you can be at something, or just, make a lot of money and, just, push buttons and go home and have my wife not be in love with me because she doesn't see somebody actually chasing that goal and chasing that dream? Like I want to live like a warrior, man. I don't want to. I want to live like, hey, clap for me because you know I did my best job and I'm coming home happy with a smile on my face. Like, yeah, I got it done because I'm good at what I want to be good at.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think everyone's meant for a 9 to 5. That's ultimately what I'm trying to get to.
Oh, I couldn't. Bro, I've never been more miserable in my life than in 2 situations. 1, a relationship I should not have been in, and 2, in a position/job that I should not have been in.
Why do you think you were in that relationship that you shouldn't have been in? Like, what kept you there? I think that's a question that a lot of guys need, though. Answer that a lot of guys need questions for the answer. What kept you in that situation, and why did you stay there?
Bro, I've done 12 months of therapy. I've done a lot of work. Not only therapy, but I go to retreat centers, breath work. I've done a lot of personal development work in order to answer that question. And I'm comfortable and confident enough to now answer that, bro, I did not love myself at all. I hated myself. I didn't think that I was worthy. I thought that I was unworthy of success. I thought I was unworthy of love. I thought I was unworthy of becoming anything greater than somebody's bitch. And that's what I was in that relationship. I was somebody's bitch. And I allowed that to happen because I did not love myself enough to be like, stand up for myself, say fuck you, and walk away. Right?
Or just walk away, you know,
Or just walk.
You didn't have to go back.
Just walk away.
You didn't got to go back and forth, man. You had to double.
And so, man, yeah, I think, you know, I did a lot of work to uncover the fact that, like, I stayed in a place that I shouldn't have. First of all, I got into a relationship that I shouldn't have gotten into because I didn't see the signs, right? I think a lot of us, we get into relationships with people that we subconsciously are comfortable with. So I think a lot of people, they'll notice, like, oh, I date the same person over and over again. It's just a different face, but it's the same person, right? Or the same situation. Or a woman will go from one abusive guy to another abusive guy to another one. And they're like, I don't understand what's happening. Well, they're actually just looking for the same person over and over again, which is technically and typically either a representation of their mother or their father. Oh, I keep dating a guy that leaves me all the time. Oh, well, her father left her when she was 3. I keep finding a guy that's going to beat me up. Well, so-and-so beat up someone and I saw that as a kid. And now there's childhood trauma that we have not dealt with. And our subconscious has pushed that into a deep, dark place that we can't see. And so we're consciously living through subconscious events that have happened. And so, like, I did a lot of shadow work to uncover things that have happened in my childhood that made me keep getting into relationships with the same type of woman over and over again, allowing me to take certain things. Like, it's not a coincidence that I was bullied my whole life growing up. I'm bullied at the workplace, and then I get into a relationship where the woman is bullying me. Like, that was not a coincidence. Now I'm in a fantastic relationship with a woman who friggin' loves me. And, like, bro, it's night and day because I've done the work to realize, like, what happened and how to get myself out of that situation. And the whole answer was self-love, but it was uncovering, like, the darkness that, like, lived within the shadow of my subconscious and doing shadow work and breath work to pull out of that so that I could realize, like, bro, I am fucking worthy. I am fucking good enough. I deserve success. I deserve to find an inspiring career. I deserve to be in a relationship with a woman who loves me. I deserve all of these things because I am a good person, you know? And so it took me going through those hard times in order to uncover that about myself. But again, like you said, I had to put in the work. I had to put in the work. Nobody gave that mindset to me. Somebody gave me the tools and the keys to be able to uncover it, right? But I still had to put in work. I still had to pay money. I still had to spend time. And, like, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, that was a super long-winded answer. But, you know, at the end of the day, it just comes down to, like, self-love, man. If you love yourself, you're not going to put up with bullshit that you don't deserve.
You know, I think people need to hear that long-winded answer because they got to understand the nuances behind everything you went through, because right now they see the finished product. And they're thinking, oh my God, this guy has all this stuff. You know, who is he? What, you know, he just had this life easy. Nah, not really, right? But, you know, doubling back on that answer you just gave, which was a beautiful answer. So you're not afraid of asking for help or getting help? Was that a barrier for you? Do you think it's a barrier for most people, though?
I think it is. I needed help. I was in a dark place. I was in a really dark place. And I was like, if I don't get help, like, this is not going to end well.
So you didn't feel weak by getting help?
I think I was already so weak and beaten down by being in it that, like, I was just reaching out for a lifeline, bro. I was just like, I need somebody because I am aware enough that this ain't going down right. Like, something's not working. And man, my business was suffering. It's so funny. I actually heard a quote from a good friend of mine. He said, your business doesn't have problems. Your personal life has problems that are bleeding into your business. And that was true, man. My personal life was bleeding into my business. My business was going south. Things were just not working out for me. And, like, bro, I needed help. And so I reached out to everybody. And in my search, I found a center actually in Homestead that does a lot of this childhood reparenting, breath work, shadow work, like all these different things to, like, uncover childhood trauma and things that we've been through in order to heal from it. Well, first of all, to acknowledge it, because you have to acknowledge that it happened, and then you have to heal from it. You have to forgive. You have to accept it and, like, basically move on. And through that, you could start to pinpoint things. You could be like, oh, you know what, that person, I've seen this before. Like, I'm gonna stay away from this, or I'm gonna set boundaries. You're not gonna speak to me that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And those are things I never did before.
You draw the line in the sand.
Yeah.
No, you're not doing this. This is you're not gonna, no. I won't allow you to, you don't have to respect me, but you're definitely not gonna disrespect me.
Exactly.
You're just gonna keep it neutral. You're gonna keep it walking. Because the minute you do, see you later.
Gotta go.
You're out of my mind.
Out.
I'm gone. I don't have to go. I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. I'm not gonna argue with you. We're grown men. I'm not gonna argue or fight with you, because if I argue and fight with you, I can lose everything I have. So why would we fight? Right? Why would we act in violence? No, we're moving smart. We're making money. We're having fun, and we're going home and we're enjoying our family. That's it.
Amen.
That's it. Everything else is like, what? What do you want to do? All right, yeah. Grow up a little bit, and then we can talk. You know what I mean? Grow up, find something that you're good at and that you're not willing to lose. Now become my friend. I'll refriend people once they find something that they don't want to lose, that they want to hold on to, that they hadn't before. You can be my friend again after you find that, because once you find that, you will never jeopardize your life or mine.
Wow. Yeah, there's nothing scarier than a man that has nothing to lose. Nothing scarier.
Nothing. That's
Or a man that can't control his emotions.
Vicious, man. Vicious. That's a weak man.
A weak man.
That's a coward. Like, find something you love, right?
Yeah.
And you guard it and you keep it. It can be a skill set. It can be a family. It can something. Find it. It can be yourself. Forget everything else. Love yourself first. Because if you love yourself, you're not going to put up with BS. You're not, like you said, you're not going to, what? You say what? All right. Adios. Bye. Well, you know, but no, man, that's beautiful, man. People got to hear that. And I'm just so happy that you're putting together a podcast where people can come on and share their life stories and pay it forward. Because that's essentially what we're doing. We're paying it forward, right? We're giving people the keys that we have learned and picked up along the way. Saying, here you go, man, for free, man. We're just giving this to you because we want you to be better. We want you to thrive. Like, I'm speaking to that, like you said, I'm speaking to that 18-year-old me. I'm speaking to 18-year-old me. Hey, listen, I want you to do better. Like, I want you to know the stuff that I know now. Like,
let me tell you
do this,
bro. When you finally get with a woman who treats you well after you've been in nothing but abusive, toxic relationships your entire life, that's a lie.
that you've allowed in your
I've
life.
lied.
That you've allowed, because nothing happened to you. You allowed it.
Allowed that.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Nothing
Thank you for
happened to
correcting
you.
me on that.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me on
You
that.
put your foot down, draw that line.
I wasn't being a man, bro. I wasn't being in my masculine frame. And so, bro, when you finally get a woman who like treats you right, I've only had 2 women in my life, besides my mother, of course, but in the dating realm that have treated me like gone above and beyond. And it was one that I dated in college, absolutely phenomenal. Everything after that was downhill because I wasn't ready to commit.
Yeah.
And then
You're too young at that point. You needed more experience.
And then this one now, and I'm like, wow, to see, like, it's a night and day difference when you find a woman who shows interest, who loves you unconditionally, who will go above and beyond, who will be there for you when you need her, show you support your endeavors. She could be blowing up my phone like, why are you out here recording so late? Like, what the fuck's going on? That would have happened in my past relationship. Why are you putting that over me, right? Not this one. This one's like, that's amazing. Good for you. Like, record all night. Keep going. I hope it's amazing, you know? And I'm like, that's what we as men deserve. That's what we deserve. We deserve to have a woman that's not going to be out here in the streets, tricking, showing her ass off to everybody on Instagram, being on OnlyFans. Like, we deserve that. We deserve that, bro. And I think every man here deserves that. You know, it just all comes down to belief because it's a mindset.
We deserve it after we have found ourselves.
Correct.
After we've took ownership
and put in the work.
And put in the work. And became the man we're supposed to be.
And learned how to appreciate them, right? For the woman that they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't want that before you've put in the work. It's like
before you're ready, because you end up hurting them.
It's like you're starting a business, you have no real business experience, and you just get $1 million loan. You don't blow that thing. Yeah. You don't know what to do. Like not everybody. You don't have the network. You don't have the skill set. You don't have anything. You're gonna blow the bag. You're gonna fumble it. Yeah. That's what you did in college.
Yeah.
You're too young. You wasn't ready for that.
I know.
Yeah, she was. You know, women mature much faster than men. Much faster. That's because they stopped having kids before men.
Yeah.
So if you start having kids, of course you're going to learn, hey, this is what I got to do to get the right one and, solidify my best option, right? We don't know that. Men can be Peter Pan for the rest of their lives, man. They can literally just do whatever and go because they don't have a ticking clock.
Oh man.
They don't have to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
But the ones that do figure it out early, you're like, bro, you were sitting here from God. Like, are you living a second life right now? Like, what's going on? How do you know this knowledge? Because a lot of men, they say, well, we don't really step into our final form, when it comes to maturity until like our late 30s, but what if we could accelerate that and get guys to come into that form at 25, 27, 28, right?
Yeah.
Well, then now, how much more opportunities created after that, how much life is better, how many more communities are better, right? Because you get a lot of people who don't want to take self-accountability. If you can't take self-accountability, you can't take family accountability, child accountability. You don't even know yourself, man.
And I think that comes down to one word specifically that you said, which is community. Because you're only going to get that in community. Like I've got a guy that's a part of the retreat center, and I think he's 52, 50. He's in his 50s. And he's like, dude, if I could learn what you're learning right now when I was your age, he was like, I would have saved myself a whole lot of heartache. He's like, I'd be in a completely different realm right now financially. He's like, because I went through a lot. I put myself into a lot of situations that I shouldn't have. I accepted and tolerated a lot of things that I shouldn't have, that I should have walked away from. I put myself in compromising positions, and it was all because I did not know the things that we're learning now that I'm learning in my 50s. And so I'm like, dude, that's like, hear that from somebody that's a part of my community is like, wow, like you're hearing stories from other people. It gives you perspective. And that's what's so important about men being in a strong community, man. You got to have other people. You got to have brothers. You got to have people you can rely on. And relying on someone, that's important in itself. If you have the trust enough to be able to rely on somebody, if somebody's earned that trust and not broken it, bro, that's a rare thing to find.
Yeah.
My grandfather used to tell me, if you can get to the end of your life and have count on your 5 fingers, 5 real friends that you've had throughout your lifetime, he's like, you are a very lucky man.
Yeah. Now
So to find those at an early age is priceless.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, the fact that you just brought that up, I had a situation in my company where I had to let someone go out of my company, and it's like, oh, I thought he was a real friend. And, it's unfortunate, I felt like it could have been a good relationship, but, it wasn't, I wasn't willing to tolerate. I mean, I didn't allow, for some of that stuff to go. Before I would have just, turned it's okay, man. It's cool.
But you never know what that could have progressed into.
Right. And I didn't want to wait until I was 50 to find out. Like the guy in your community, 50. Why would I wait until 50 to find that out? No, I would now.
Yeah.
Now.
That goes back into the whole premise of failing fast. Yeah. You want to fail fast. You want to fail at a young age. You want to know, so I started a tech company. It was an absolute failure. It put me into 6 figures of debt. And so we
What was it about? Then?
It was a mobile app for bars and restaurants, which is crazy because at the time when we started, it was so that you could see a live bill on your phone and you could select what was yours, split it with your friends, check out. It was like easy peasy because it's a pain in the ass to check out a restaurant, especially if we were like 8 or 10 people, right?
We got to talk after this.
So we created this. Yeah. It was an epic failure. It was like, this was like 5 years ago, right? And so everybody's like, this is never going to work. We don't need this, blah, blah, blah. Now half the POSs in the city have this as a feature, right? Yeah. So we were like way too ahead of our time. It put us in a lot of debt. Man, when I went through that, I failed at it. For a couple of years, it was like, I could have done this. I could have done this. I could have been successful at this. And I was beating myself up, but I was like, we tried, and I was like, I could have done it differently. So we're trying again right now that we've got some money. And so we're trying it again. We're, building, it's back in the development stages, right? And so we're putting this out there again. But let me tell you something. If I hadn't tried it the first time, if I hadn't tried it now the second time, I don't know what's going to happen. It might fail, it might not. Now I'm not as emotionally involved in it because that's back then I was like, I was my obsession. Bro, I would go until age 50, 60, 70, maybe for the rest of my life wondering what if, instead of just cutting it off and being like, it was a failure, it's done, move on to the next project. It is so imperative that you fail fast. you want to fail at as many things as possible, as quick as possible. Because if it's an idea that you have, and like how many tries did they say Edison took to make the light bulb?
Yeah.
Right. And so like going back to that, that story, it's just like, bro, you have to fail fast. You have to know that it was a failure. Otherwise, you'll live in regret for the rest of your life.
So you mean to tell me that you did the opposite of what school taught you to do? So you failed and that you learned through the failure, not getting an A and learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what we're really taught, man. We're
not taught a lot.
Don't get that F, man. If you get that F, that's bad. But it's like, no, F in life is actually an A.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta fail your way to success.
You know what's crazy? Now for my career, I'm doing everything that I failed at, right? I was an epic failure in math. I use math every day doing mortgages. That's all I do, right? But it's interesting because I'm very good at it now because of my interrelation skills and like the ability that I have to compute things. I got that from my father, but I never applied that because I didn't care about it. And so I think to myself sometimes, I'm like, I was pushed that I had to go get good grades and I had to do this and that, even though I really didn't. The only things that I was really good at was music and speaking. And so I'm like, imagine if we lived in a society where school pushed, this kid's failing at everything. Like, let's give him the basics that he needs to get by as like a productive member of society in those realms. Yeah. But like, why would we not pursue the two things with this child's gifts that he has, which is music, speaking, and just push him on those as hard as we can.
And then trickle in a little bit of what he's not good at.
So that he could...
Music, you got to count notes and you got to do this. And you got to... so mathematics is easy because I'm good at reading the musical notes. So makes sense, right? So, no, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like it focuses on things that we're not necessarily great at. I think that's why a lot of people homeschool their kids. They take them out and actually focus on their strengths, right?
Yeah. Like your strength was utilized since you were 11 years old.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's amazing. That's some
personal trainer.
Like people poured into your gift. Yeah. That's huge. And so, I'm not, obviously, like I was able to pursue a career in something that I failed at my whole life, which was fine. And I've been very, very successful at it. So I can tell you, like, it's still a thing. You can still be successful in something that you got F's in. Now where it comes down to is fulfillment. Mm-hmm. Like, am I fulfilled doing that? I like making money, like that's what paid for all this. But it's interesting because like what's making me money are the things that I was always terrible with. And they're paying for the things that I was always good at.
Amazing. Full circle right there, right?
So is there a right or wrong way? Man, I don't know.
Yeah.
We're all just doing it.
Yeah, what type of fire do you have to be great? That's it.
That's it.
Where's that fire? Because that fire is going to ultimately get you back on that route, all right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, it's that pursuit. It's always the pursuit. It's always the journey. It's never sitting back and just letting life go by and, woe is me. No, woe is me. No, I'm about to win some shit. I'm about to get up and get a W today, right? And if I get an L because I was trying to get a W, that's actually a W because I tried to win.
Right?
I had to learn that lesson because I was passionate in that pursuit. I wasn't just, okay, if I get an A or a B in this class, I don't care. No, I want to win, but I lost. That means you were present every moment of that interaction. And you know every little piece of when I failed at that moment in that little corner, in that moment I should have done that. I should have moved that way. I should have acted that way. I should have done that. I should have taken that step. When you're not present, when you're not passionate, you don't really learn. You're not learning from that loss.
Oh, of course.
No, you're not passionate. The passion's not there.
And the passion's not in the money.
No, it's not.
The passion's not in the money. I think the money comes from pursuing the passion.
They say dopamine is best just before you actually get what you want. Not even when you get it. It's like it's this high. It peaks before you get it. So before the win, let's say before the race, just before you see the finish line, that's when the dopamine's the highest. When you finish, it's already coming back down.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're past that curve. So
then you got to just ride the next one.
Yeah.
Push for the next one.
Mountains beyond mountains, man. It's one after the other. That is life. Ebb and flow. It's over and over in peaks and valleys. Life, man.
Oh. Well, dude, I think before we wrap up, bro, I'd want to talk about a little bit about your documentary.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about like really what's the premise? What's it about? It's obviously about you and your life, right? I think there's a lot of other people that are involved. So yeah, can you give me like a brief overview?
Yeah. So the premise of my documentary is going to be titled "The Monster Within," right? It's like a hidden monster that not many people know about, and kind of holds you back from your destiny, from your greatness. Ultimately, to be that force, that nemesis that pushes you towards an even greater place. But it's more about athletes with sickle cell trait and exposing sickle cell trait to the world, and explaining and educating people on what it is and how many people are affected by it, how it may come across and how it may look, and just overall education and awareness. That's it. The beginning is not going to be mainly focused on me, because I want it to not mainly be about me in the beginning, just to know the severity of sickle cell trait, but then talk about my life, because I feel like I'm a prime example. Actually, after I went through my sickle cell situation in Division II, every athlete had to be tested because of me.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll hear that in a documentary from one of my coaches as well. So, yeah, man, it's just, I just want to pay it forward. In this lifetime, this documentary is paying it forward. Just explaining, because it's not only going to be about sickle cell. It could be about other things like mental health, with them putting me on the severe anxiety depression medication. Yeah. Everybody's dealing with mental health. We're in a mental health epidemic. It is wild right now, right?
And I think for men it's bad right now.
Very. Women too. I'm not gonna leave them out.
Women too.
They get on social media, they see all this women dolled up in surgery, and they're like, I don't look like that. Well, she don't look like that either in real life.
Like, especially in this city.
Yeah, you already know.
That's crazy.
This is the height of it, right? This is the mecca.
Wow.
Yeah, we're in the lion's den here, or the devil's den right now.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's what the documentary is about, and I just hope to inspire every single person, people without sickle cell trait, any situation, any health issue, be it, physical, mental, doesn't matter, because we got to know you still got to push. Don't give up. Please don't do that. You don't want that life. You want to put here for nothing. You put here for something. Chase it. Get it. You may feel like you're like eons away from it. Not really. You're probably 1 or 2 degrees separated from it, right? You're really not that far from it. Yeah. You just haven't met the right network. You haven't read the right book. You haven't listened to the right author on YouTube. You didn't hear the right podcast. Then after hearing that, then putting your head down and diving into it and getting things done. Not just listening and, oh, I get it. No.
Implement.
Listen it, implement it. Now go put in those 10,000 hours, 20,000 hours execution, right? So there's elements to it. It all sounds fine and dandy, and everything is better said than done. But, people like us, we have to always drive that execution part. What the implementation looks like. How does that feel? Where you're going to go through, the depths you're going to have to go through. You may be homeless. You may be sleeping out of your car, in the shelter, in the storage center, right? You may be.
I feel like a failure. But bro, it's those failures that define you.
I got divorced at 33. Yeah. I didn't tell you that. I got divorced at 33. I got kicked out in the middle of the pandemic. It's a lot of stuff, man. We're layered people, man. Like, people who you deem as successful, they're very layered. They're just happy that they went through it. It's like, damn, I've already been through it. I'm happy I'm on the other side. It's like,
it's so interesting, because if you encounter a situation like that again, you're like, I've done this.
I'm gonna do this, and this. You got a game plan going into the failure. You're like, damn, I'm good at failing.
Man, that's great. Well, dude, I appreciate it, man. We had some camera malfunctions tonight, but bro, I had an awesome experience talking to you, bro, hearing your story. I'm super inspired, actually, just listening to your story, what you've been through, and like recalling some memories of my own. Bro, I'm like super inspired right now to just go out there and, like you said, execute, because it's one thing to hear, it's another thing to see, because having the vision is one thing,
or read,
but it is a completely different ballgame to execute, and the hurdles that you're going to experience as a part of the execution process, the stories that are going to be cultivated as a result of the failures, and bro, everything in between is just a part of the journey. And that's what we're put on earth for, is just to experience this journey to the best of our ability, become our best versions, and share it with others.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm grateful, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being my first guest.
Thank you for having me, man. This is great, man. This is about to be, hopefully I'm invited back, though.
Yeah,
I just can't be the only time now. I got to be here once every other month.
Yeah, you gotta get it. Absolutely, bro.
Definitely.
Bro, I'm super grateful for you to come here today. Man, where can people find you?
You can find me at Captain Plant It on Instagram, or I am Lance Kearse on Instagram. YouTube, Captain Plant It.
Well, dude, thank you again for coming, bro.
Sir, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate you.
Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate your support. Please like this video, share it with a friend, click subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Dude, that was a vibe.
Yeah. Hey, listen, bro. I like this shit.
What's up, everyone? Thank you for watching our video. If you're looking to connect with other move makers like our guest, please join our online community by clicking the link below this video. And as always, please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend so that we can boost our engagement and join other people in our community in the endeavor of finding their purpose, becoming their best version.